What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of The Captain's Run. I was just about to say bloke in a bar. I don't know why. I was in the mode. I was in the zone. But I've got the great man, Cameron Smith, there. How you going, brother?
Kempy, how are we, mate? Look, I know it's a week gone by. Lots of things have happened, but, mate, I'm still on a high. I'm still on a high from Origin 1.
So
How good is it?
It is the best. Honestly,
Oh, it's
nothing
so
delivers like Origin, seriously.
I know. What were your thoughts?
Mate, my thoughts. What an incredible game of rugby league for Queens from a Queensland perspective.
Yep.
But I also think now, don't get me wrong, I loved the fight back win from Queensland and the Queensland spirit. New South Welshmen hate to hear it. They hate to hear it, but it was there.
Mate,
I can feel it, Smithy. I can feel it.
All of our listeners that support New South Wales, they're just shaking their head right now, just going, Kempy, come on, mate. I've had enough of that Queensland spirit. But it's just astounding how often the Maroons are able to win these Origins in the situation that they were in.
Mm-hmm.
No wingers, no back rowers. They had a man in the sin bin. They were playing 12 against 13 in the final 10 minutes, and they come up with 2 tries.
But then for Munster, Smithy, tell me what's going on in that bloke's head.
I got no idea.
What is it?
I got no idea. And I think that's what makes him such a dangerous player to play against and to defend against, is because a lot of the time there's no real plan going on in Cameron Munster's head, and I say that with all due respect. I'm not just saying that there's nothing happening upstairs, because he definitely does think about his football. He cares about the teams that he plays in, and I've mentioned the type of person and the type of footy player Cameron Munster is before on previous shows, but I think in times like that he just calls for the ball and literally just wants to have a crack at the opposition and backs himself. Now, we all know like his strength as a footballer is his running game. When Cameron Munster's playing his best football, he's kicking strong, he's defending well, but he's out of everything, he's running the football. So when he got that ball, there was a little bit of space out on the Queensland's left edge. Josh Adokar, he was defending quite tight to Nico Hines, who would come on for Tom Trbojevic. So playing in a quite an unfamiliar position was Nico Hines. And when you think about those defensive positions, and Kemper, you'd understand this better than me, but being out wide, particularly in a centre position, it's you got to understand the movements and when to jam and when to back off and how to attack ball carriers. But he got the ball, he went across Cleary, he went across Nico Hines, he put a right-hand fend on him and just got to the outside and gave the hammer, Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow, just enough room to work down that left-hand side. Now, how many players could have done that? Not too many. Not too many.
Mate.
But that's the reason why he's regarded as one of the best players in our game, is because he can come up with those big plays like that when it's needed.
Mate, I think one of his most underrated skill sets that he's developed over time, and he had it to a degree when he first came in, but Cam Munster's ability to know when to attack, and not a selfish play, but for example, let's say that defence does what it's supposed to do and he gets tackled on the edge of the field in a set where he's got no support. It's almost a selfish play. Like, come on, Munster, get to a point where we can set up some plays.
Yeah.
But his ability to know, no, this is the moment. And then other times know, okay, no, I should actually take a step back, get to where I need to get, and I'll wait for my moment to appear.
Yeah. I think it is. It's a subtle part of his game that you do see every now and again. And like I said, when he feels those opportunities, which I think it is, I think the great players, they have that feel of a game. They have a feel of when those moments or those opportunities are in front of them and they're willing to take it. That's the one thing that he does have, is he's got the confidence to actually go after those moments like he did the other night. So, his ability to do what he did there and understand that moment well. Look, I've got to take this. There are some elements of risk in the game that you have to take at times because, with 10 minutes to go and, Queensland were playing with 12 men for pretty much the majority of that 10 minutes. I think Flegler was only due back with, minute and a half to go? 2 minutes maybe, max. that was the time where Cameron Munster, I'm sure in a split second, he just thought to himself, I've got to have a crack now or else I may not get another opportunity. So he took it. Like, you know what I mean? He realised that was the time to do it. He skipped to his left. As I said, he skipped across two players, Josh Adokar was backing away, but he sort of just caught his eye enough to tip Hamiso into some space. And, that's why he is the type of player he is. And going back to what I was talking about before where, I don't think that was so much of a plan. I think he just would have spoke to Daly Cherry Evans and, he got the ball from Harry Grant. So the word or the movement would have gone along the line to say, hey, I want the ball. Give me the ball. Like he would have looked up and thought to himself, I've got a guy out of position here in Nicho Hynes. I'm going to back myself to beat him. You know what I mean? So it's just that split second decision that gets him that opportunity. And that's why it makes him so dangerous is because it happens so quickly. The defence don't really have a plan. Because they don't know what he's going to do. Is he going to go left foot back inside me? Is he going to go right foot, try and go around? Is he going to kick early? Because he's got all of these skills and weapons that he can use. And in that instance, they didn't make the right decision defensively, and he made them pay for it.
Yeah, in regards to the defence, I feel sorry for Hynes because as an edge, having played on the edge a fair bit as a winger, you could actually see, because it happened so quickly, Hynes almost went into his rhythms, like his normal defence patterns. And if you look at his spacing, he's basically right next to Cleary. And I think that was just because instinct kicked in. He normally defends at 3, whereas if he had been defending at centre all year, his spacing would have been totally different. Munster would have bounced off Cleary straight into his inside shoulder rather than across his body. Yeah. So I felt real sorry for Hynes. And I understand, Origin, you got to make these big plays. I do, and please let us know, text in. I'm pretty sure, though, that Freddie Fittler had the opportunity to use Matty Burton due to the 10 in the bin on Tom Trbojevic. Now, please correct me if I'm wrong. It's easy to say in hindsight, but is that something that you guys, I guess, at Queensland speak about? Say a half goes down due to foul play. Mm-hmm. Would you bring on, Dearden as 18th man, or would you bring on whoever's on your bench? Yeah,
well, I guess it depends on situations, right? And that is correct. So Matt Burton was 18th man, wasn't he? For the Blues. So that is correct. If someone is forced from the field with a HIA and it's due to foul play, where someone's found to have contributed to that injury, and as Tom Flegler was, he was put on report and then put in the sin bin. I'm 99.9% certain that the 18th man can be activated in that instance. So maybe that was the better choice, but I guess having Nicho Hynes on the bench, he'd been sitting there for nearly 70 minutes. I guess Brad Fittler and the rest of his coaching staff would have thought, well, he's been in the team all week. He's prepared all week. He's been around the other players and the footy side. I think he's the best person to go on the field, And so it's just a moment where it come up with some brilliance from Cameron Munster. I'm not saying that it was the decision to put Hynes on the field or even Nicho Hynes' defensive decisions to come in and to try and tackle Cameron Munster. It was just some brilliance by Cam Munster. There wasn't much really else that was done wrong. So it's and it's easy to look in hindsight, isn't it, Kempy? To say, we should have put that guy on, or Nicho Hynes should have, done these type of movements or made this decision, or even Josh Adokar on the end of it. Should he have backed away, or should he stayed on the end of the line? It's easy to say woulda, shoulda, coulda. But I think it just took a brilliant play by Cam Munster to beat a couple of defenders and give his outside man an opportunity to go down and do his thing.
And, I'm so excited about Origin. I didn't even welcome everyone into the show. Welcome to Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. We are here for Chemist Warehouse. Head into Chemist Warehouse for great savings. Also, you can subscribe to the Captain's Run on Apple, Spotify, or where all good podcasts are downloaded. Give us a text, 0457 736 736. We've already got 1,000 texts, Smithy. We've got some great ones here. Where is it? Smithy? No. Where's the Queensland Spirit one from the New South Wales?
There'll be something there.
Anyway, he basically said Queensland Spirit is a myth. Get it up here, you maggots. Mate, but it's flown past. That's how many texts we're getting. That's how many texts. We've got actually a text that even I'm really, really interested to see.
Okay.
But before we get to that text, a bit of breaking news. It is being reported that Cody Walker finished training early today and reportedly a slight quad strain from Danny Wilder.
Wow, that's huge for, the Rabbitohs.
Yeah,
Already they've been hammered with injuries. So Latrell unavailable this week. Jai Arrow, he's gone for what, 12?
Yep.
12 weeks?
6 to 8 weeks.
6 to 8 weeks, sorry. Is Campbell Graham playing? He's battling a sternum injury. I think he's
Cam
playing.
Murray.
Cam Murray. So Cam Murray out. Wow.
Yeah,
Huge news. And
huge
that could
news.
have sort of ramifications with New South Wales because Cody Walker's, his name's been tossed about potentially for game 2, to either play, potentially take that number 6 jersey or play in the halves with Jerome Luai, which I think we'll get to soon, talking about the injury to Nathan Cleary and what that means for New South Wales. But big news coming out of the Rabbitohs training.
Oh, mate, it is because, me personally, I actually had Cody Walker as my 6 going into game 2.
Yep.
And you'd have to say that if he doesn't play this week, I mean, look, you could still pick him. He's played plenty of footy this year, so it's not like his match fitness would suffer in 7 days.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't help his chances. I personally think that Freddie and Brandy and the selection board, they'll be waiting until the last minute of the last game to decide who they play in their halves.
Yeah, I think it's been announced already. I'll probably get Tommy, the Mad New South Welshman, to give me a thumbs up. But I think Freddie announced that the New South Wales team for game 2 will be announced on the Monday rather than the Sunday. Yep, that's right. So that's a bit of a change from what's been tradition for New South Wales. So they've got the entire weekend, plus they can find some reports from the medical staff from each of the clubs to find out how players have pulled up. But that's a big one, Kempy.
Mate, we're going to head to a break. After the break, we got plenty to talk about. We're going to review the game, talk about Reece Walsh, Fafita, Hunt, Cotter, Carrigan. We're also going to talk about New South Wales halves pairing. Who do we think are the people for the job? And we'll get through Victor School Sports Injury Wrap. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. Let's have a quick injury wrap from round 11 thanks to Victor School and Sports Club Supplies. Visit victorsports.com.au. What do you got, Smithers?
Oh, well, the big name out of this weekend, of course, Nathan Cleary, hamstring. Went and had scans early this week, and it was a grade 2. I think it come back as Kempy, so that means up to 6 weeks. So I'm sure, Penrith fans as well as New South Wales fans, they'll be disappointed with that news. But Cam Murray, he's battling a groin injury at the moment. He's TBC actually, but he's going to sit out this week. So there'll be some question marks over his fitness, especially for Game 2 of Origin up in Brisbane. Jai Arrow, another Rabbitohs player, he suffered a syndesmosis injury on the weekend. He's already gone in for surgery, so that's his Origin series over. He was strong in Game 1. 6 to 8 weeks that recovery is. So Origin series over, of course. So looking at the back end of the season for the Bunnies, Jai Arrow to come back. Tom Gilbert, another casualty from Origin 1. He dislocated a shoulder, so he's booked for surgery. I think he may have gone in already to have that repaired. But that's the season for Tom Gilbert. Big news for Dolphins fans and the rest of their season moving forward there, Kempy. Tommy Gilbert, one of their most important players. Brad Parker, he fractured his elbow on the weekend. So he's out for 4 to 6 weeks. That'd be a pretty ordinary injury to have that one, actually, to carry that one around. So 4 to 6 weeks for Brad Parker. And then we had some concussion issues across the weekend. Jack DeBellin, David Fafita, Rocco Berry, and Justin Olam. They all suffered some concussion issues, so they'll be sitting out this week. There's the injuries, Kempy.
Mate, what I loved I didn't love at all, actually, but Cam Murray gets injured. You can see him pull up with his groin.
Yep.
This typifies what kind of player he is. Gets back in the line and he's a crucial part in ball playing for a try for the Rabbitohs.
Yep.
It's like so many players in that situation, their groin goes or whatever.
Yep.
All they're thinking about is themselves. Like, oh, my groin's gone. Oh, am I going to be out for this many? That's all they're thinking.
Yep.
Cam Murray's immediate thought was, what's my next job? What's my next job?
Yep.
Unbelievable.
But they're the great players, right? Even though they've injured themselves, they know they're injured and they've done some serious damage. They're thinking about the team. So Cleary did the same thing. As soon as he extended himself and was chasing across field, the hammy went. He grabbed it straight away, but he stayed in the defensive line. St. George ended up scoring at the end of that set over in the opposite corner, but Cleary kept himself in the defensive line. Same as Tom Gilbert. Like Tom Gilbert dislocates his shoulder early in a set. It's around the halfway mark, and he makes another tackle.
Yep.
And I think he attempted to tackle Pangai Jr. of all people. He obviously noticed that the shoulder was gone and his arm was just hanging. He ran at Tom Gilbert. Tom Gilbert just threw himself in front of him. But this is what makes these type of players great, like their team first attitude and their disregard for their own sort of health and safety. But some big names across the weekend there, Kempy.
That was Victor School and Sports Club Supply, supplying school and sports throughout Australia. Visit victorsports.com.au. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. We are here for Chemist Warehouse, to head into Chemist Warehouse for great savings. Let's continue this State of Origin breakdown because we've got a call from Rohan from Pymble.
G'day, boys. How are we?
Going good, mate. How are you going?
Yeah, good, thanks, mate. Look, I just wanted to talk about on-field leadership because I think that's where Queensland are streets ahead of New South Wales. So you see guys like Benny Hunt, Cherry Evans, Munster, even Reece Walsh at the back. There's so much chat, there's so much organisation, adaptability in that leadership group. And New South Wales are quite quiet leaders. I think Tedesco, Cleary, those guys, they lead by example. We need a Jake Trbojevic, we need a Latrell Mitchell, we need someone to stand up on the field and go, boys, they're rushing in and up on us. Let's put a kick in behind. Let's put pressure. Let's play a bit deeper. Let's play a bit fight and fast. There's not that adaptability and that leadership that I can see on the field. I just wanted your thoughts on that because that's what it seems like from the outside.
Yeah, well, it's a fair point, isn't it? Because there was a lot of things that happened that went against Queensland the other night. A few injuries, and they had to deal with Flegler being in the bin for 10 minutes at a extremely crucial part of the game with, 11 minutes to go. But having an experienced guy in there, particularly like the captain, Daly Cherry Evans, he's playing his 20th match. And we all know you can see in matches when he's playing with Manly, he's playing representative games with Queensland or Australia. He's quite vocal, so he knows when to talk. He knows when to adapt and maybe try and change game plans and things like this. So he's got a lot of talk as well as Ben Hunt. You made a good point there, Rowan, as well. Having Ben Hunt, such an experienced player in that position as well, where wearing the number 7, it demands that you talk. I haven't had a lot to do with a few guys in that New South Wales side, particularly the younger ones coming through like Cleary and Luai. But I'd like to think that they're strong enough leaders to be talking, and I'm sure there are some sort of messages being spoken about as well. The one guy, I guess, as far as leadership, I think New South Wales did miss was Jake Trbojevic. I don't know what your thoughts are there, Kempy, but you can see how vocal he is when he's playing for Manly. Whenever there's, an error or a penalty against his side, a try scored against them, he's always got the team in a huddle and talking a lot, much the same as Daly Cherry Evans does with Manly as well. Maybe they missed his style of leadership out there the other night as well.
Oh, mate, they absolutely miss Jake Trbojevic leadership. Matter of fact, if you go to Manly, a lot has been said about Tom. When they don't play with Tom Trbojevic, they have X amount of losses, whatever. But actually, when you go and look at the games that Jake Trbojevic hasn't played for Manly, not only do they have losses, they're mostly 13-plus losses. That is how important he is to that side. Right. I think that they need him back as soon as possible. Obviously, I think he's not going to be good for this series. A person that I do think should be in consideration, I understand his club footy hasn't been, top tier, but a guy like Dale Finucane, I think that he can bring similar energy to Jake Trbojevic. What are your thoughts, Smithy?
Oh, absolutely. Well, I played numerous games with Dale, and I think he just brought a calmness really to the footy side. And he does talk. He does a fair bit of talking actually, Dale. But I think what he does do really well is when things aren't going right for the team, he just goes back to game plan and what works for the footy side and what's been planned all week to execute. So they're the type of players that are crucial in these big types of games. Final series, state of origin matches in particular. Look, you can pick apart, particularly when your team has a loss, you can pick the eyeballs out of their performance and where it went wrong and all these various things. But at the end of the day, New South Wales are in a position to win the game. They were in a very strong position with 10 to go, and they didn't execute their game plan. They didn't finish the game off, and they made some poor decisions defensively, and they weren't there when the play needed to be made. You go from the Cam Munster effort to put Hammersail away, but then you look at Lindsay Collins, how he went down and outjumped James Tedesco to offload to Cam Munster to score a try. That was a huge play by a front rower. I think there was plenty of New South Wales defenders in position to help Tedesco out there, but that just didn't seem to be there. So, you could look at all these various, reasons and situations where things went wrong. But at the end of the day, they put themselves in a position to win it, but they just weren't able to execute it at the end.
Yeah, mate, I totally agree with you. And I think I probably would push a little bit harder in regards to that Collins play. It's not necessarily that Teddy got out jumped, and I understand some people be like, you're a great fullback, you should have got that. I get all that. I think it was more disappointing that there were a lot of New South Wales jumpers that should have been around Cam Munster. As soon as he touched that ball, there should have been at least 2 New South Wales, because Cam Munster actually had to run further than a lot of the New South Wales players. And if I'm reviewing the game from a New South Wales perspective, that's what I'm focusing on rather than, one missed tackle because of a great play.
Yeah.
I'm focusing more on, boys, that was just pure effort.
Yeah. Oh, mate, absolutely. It's been pointed out, in several different platforms that I've seen across the last 7 days that, they pointed out how not only Lindsay Collins was able to get down there, but also Cam Munster ran past, several New South Wales players to receive that football. So I think that's where, if you're supporting New South Wales, you need to look at those final 10 minutes and how your team could have done something a little bit differently, because they were in a great position to win it. Like looking at the caliber of player on the field, you go through particularly their spine, like Appy Coruscant, Nathan Cleary, Jerome Luai, and Teddy, like they're world-class players.
Yeah.
They should have been able to control that match all the way to the end. Queensland were good enough to come up with some, 2 very big plays, which they had to. Like they couldn't just try and play their regular football and go down the other end and score. They had to come up with 2 huge plays to win it, which that's what wins Origin matches. A lot of the time when you're coming from behind, but it was the 10 minutes. It was the final 10 minutes of the game, which stating the obvious, it cost New South Wales.
Now, I just want to ask you a quick question, and then we'll get to New South Wales halves and who you think should be it. But my theory, and I think Teddy after the Bulldogs game kind of said, I've had a lot of weight on my shoulders. I've been focusing maybe on other people's jobs instead of just doing my own job. And basically he was doing a little bit too much maybe. And so in my review, I kind of felt that because Teddy is so dominant at the Roosters, he may need to take a little bit of a step back when he plays for New South Wales and allow Cleary to build the game plan Cleary wants to play.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I probably thought it was the other way around. I actually thought he was focusing on his own game, to be honest, because there hasn't been great form. The Roosters haven't been in great form. I don't think a lot of their players have been in tremendous form either, to their own standards, of course. I'm not saying they're playing ordinary, but they've been quite below their own standards for the most part of this year, including James Tedesco. But had a blinder on the weekend. I think he had something to prove there out of the Origin match. But I think watching him play, like his numbers are huge. Like he has 20 plus carries and big meters. He backs it up with big meters. There are lots of effort. There's, no one can question the effort, but I think sometimes you get caught up when you're not playing your best football. You start trying too hard. If you can understand what I'm saying there, like the game is based on effort. Okay, the entire game, particularly as a fullback, you're constantly moving. You got to cover a lot of ground. You're talking. You're giving direction. But at times you can overplay your hand with your input into the football side. So when you're looking to play yourself back into form, you're trying to get your hands on the ball, you're trying to run the football, you're trying to create opportunities, you're trying to run into space and make line breaks and all this type of stuff, but sometimes at the detriment of the football side. That's why it's a team game. It's not about individuals and just rolling individuals out saying, go and play your game. It's about developing a game plan or a role which complements everyone. So the other night he finishes game one with 20-plus carries and 200 metres. If you go off stats alone, that's a huge game.
Yeah.
That's a great game. But maybe some of those runs that he had where he made 12 or 15 metres, maybe the ball should have gone to a Luai or a Cleary, or maybe he should have allowed Api Coruscant to come out and apply some of his craft around the middle of the field. I'm not too sure because I don't know what maybe the game plan was for Teddy to have 20 runs, Kempy. Yeah. I'm not sure. But the thing with, game two now, Cleary's not going to be there. And it looks as though the game plan was based around, the style of football that he plays, and particularly, that Penrith influence on the New South Wales side. We now know he won't be there. Definitely for game two, most likely not for game three either. So whoever comes in as 7, maybe that suits Tedesco's game a little bit better than what it did with Cleary.
Yeah. Oh, look, mate, it's super interesting. And I do think that, I guess we got to caveat all, I can't speak for you, Smithy, but a lot of these calls, it's very easy to say in hindsight. It's very easy to say,
of course, mate.
Should have done this, should have done that. But Origin is just so quick, so fast. It happens. Sometimes it just happens. There's not even time to think.
No, that's right. Well, if New South Wales hold on for a 2-point victory, and you look at those numbers that Tedesco punched out, you probably people would be completely opposite. Mate, what a great game! Yeah. Huge involvement, massive meters, big effort from the skipper. But because the result goes the other way, then you get criticised. I thought it was absolutely ridiculous, the criticism that he copped.
Oh,
he was on the back page of the Sydney paper.
Yep.
Saying that he should be gone. I could not believe that at all.
Mate, I'm with you. Now we're going to head to a break. After the break, best hands, thanks to Schnitz. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. Thanks to the SEN app. Download it today for free in the App Store and listen anywhere, anytime. Smithers, what do we got?
Oh, talk about Schnitz. I'm enjoying some Schnitty now.
Oh, wow.
Our friends at Schnitz, they've just made a delivery. How good?
Very jealous.
Oh, it's delicious. You might have to take this segment, Kempy. No, I can do it. I can do it. Best hands, thanks to Schnitz. 1 point this week goes to Dallin Watini-Zalesniak's intercept from Isaiah Katoa's pass to score his second try against the Dolphins. The Warriors, mate, they're flying. How good are they going?
Mate, it's just so good to see. Seriously. And the fact that this is a new coach in his rookie year.
Yeah.
It's so good to see.
What about that intercept was incredible. Watching it happen, you're just like, mate, how do you keep control of that ball? It's like he hit it at top speed, eh?
Yeah, and down. He hit it down.
Yeah.
It's bizarre.
He must have had a heap of that. You see the players spray that sticky stuff on there. He must have had half a can on his hand, surely.
I reckon he dipped his hands in the bath of it.
He dipped it.
Yep.
Yeah, fair enough. 2 points this week. Cody Walker's, his cutout pass. We've become accustomed to the passing and the quality of ball movement with the Rabbitohs, but he's cut out pass to Alex Johnston to score his third try against the Titans. AJ, he's a try sneak. He's now, did you know, he's all-time second on the try-scoring list, sitting just behind Ken Irvine.
I think he's fourth.
Is he?
Yeah, I think he's fourth. We've got the stats man in. He's just in my ear. He reckons fourth.
Oh, geez. Righto.
But, look, fourth.
Was he second for something, though? Oh, sorry. I think he's gone to all-time second for multiple tries scored in games.
Oh,
I think that's what he is. Multiple tries. It's something like 49 games, Kempy.
That's incredible.
He scored multiple tries.
Do you reckon he'll get the top dog?
Yeah, Ken Irvine. I think he's maybe
Is it 40 tries away?
Yeah, maybe 40. If he keeps scoring 3 a game.
34 tries away. He's, 27, 28 years old.
Oh, easy.
Mate, I reckon he'll get it.
Easy.
What's your number 3?
3 points this week. Well, it goes to the big man. I mentioned him before. Lindsay Collins leaping over Teddy and then offloading to Cam Munster for, well, what was the sealer for the Maroons. That's my 3 points this week, Kempy.
Lindsay Collins leaping over. That was our game sealer moment thanks to Loctite Adhesives. Fast, strong and reliable. The possibilities are limited. All it takes is a few drops. That's Loctite Adhesives. After the break, also, make sure to bite into golden Schnitz. Delicious, handcrafted.
I'm doing that right now.
Oh, mate, I'm jealous. I'm so jealous. After the break, we'll wrap up the first hour. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. The first hour done and dusted. We've got some texts here, Smithy.
Yep.
Hey, you two maggots. You guys are going to need a virus. You're going to need a virus to get your calls, what is it?
I think that...
Your cells back to underdog. Okay, he spelt it all wrong. Okay. He spelt Too, and he's, instead of cells, he's wrote CELLS.
Yeah, cells.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, selves and cells, we are made up of cells, so I guess he is right in some sort of way.
Very true, actually. Maybe he's a step ahead of
Are we getting a little bit too deep?
Yeah, maybe. Hey, lads, what did Cam Smith say to the Queensland team at half-time from Dan?
Oh, there was a bit made of this, wasn't it? What a G-up, really. It's something I've done ever since I took on the role as assistant coach. I went down at halftime. Billy asked me to come down and said, mate, if you have anything, let us know. I stood on the side of the team huddle. He had to look up and said, mate, got anything? And I just said, boys, proud of the effort defensively. You've turned the Blues away a fair few times, and just said, hey, boys, I think we could probably be a little bit better at this in the second half. And that was it.
30 seconds.
That was it. There was nothing.
Look, I'm just going to keep spreading the rumour that you said something inspiring. I'm just going to keep doing it.
I just repeat everything that Billy says, and I think I'm doing the right thing.
We're going to head to a break. After the break, we've got plenty more rugby league to talk about. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. We are here for Chemist Warehouse. Head into Chemist Warehouse for great savings every day. Give us a text 0457 736 736 or follow at Captain's Run NRL on Twitter. Also, make sure to follow at SEN League on Instagram and TikTok. Biggest question of the week, maybe biggest question of the year. Who is the best man to replace Nathan Cleary? Thoughts, Smithers?
Oh, look, well, there's a fair few names getting tossed around at the moment. Adam Reynolds, of course, at the Broncos, playing great football, some of the best football he's played in a long, long time. People are saying, well, he might be best suited given he plays at Suncorp. Game 2 being played up there. It's pretty much his home ground now that he plays on every second week. So he's accustomed to playing in that arena, in that environment, big crowds. Also, does Nico Hines just take that natural progression into the 7 jersey now? Dally, a medalist, of course, from 2022, and a lot being said about Nico Hines and his form over the past 18 months. Or does the coaching staff of New South Wales, do they go for a whole new halves pairing? Does Cody Walker get a look in? There's so many different options and variations that are being tossed around at the moment. For mine, though, Kempy, I feel as though the natural thing that will happen will be Nico Hines takes the 7 jersey and he moves in to the halves pairing with Luai.
Okay. So basically, do you think from your perspective, you see it as he was picked in the squad for game 1, essentially announcing that he's the next man up if there's a halves that goes down. So stick with the plan from the get-go that you had from game 1 for the series?
Well, I'm saying stick with the plan that Nico Hines is in your best 17 for the series at the start. Like if you're picking Nico Hines, and in actual fact, I struggled to get my head around his role in that first game. When they picked him on the bench, I'm thinking to myself, Cleary's not coming off the field. Luai's not coming off the field unless either one of those players were injured. And Tedesco's not coming off the field either. So they're the three positions that Nicho Hynes has played over the past, 3 to 4 seasons. All 7 with the Sharks, but he played in those three different positions, halfback, 5'8", and fullback with the Melbourne Storm, and did a fantastic job. Of course, that season where he played a lot of fullback for the Melbourne Storm when Ryan Papenhuyzen was injured and was fantastic at the back. But when I looked at the New South Wales outfit, I'm thinking, if those 3 players aren't injured, I don't know what role Nicho Hynes will play. Now, if Tom Trbojevic doesn't come from the field or is removed from the field with HIA protocols, does Nicho Hynes get on the field? That was my concern when Nicho was selected, is this going to be a repeat of 2020? If you think back to 2020 grand final, Kempy, Craig Bellamy couldn't find an opportunity in that game to get Nicho Hynes on the field in a grand final. Now, he's in the side because he did such a good job in the absence of, Jerome Hughes and Cam Munster and Ryan Papenhuyzen throughout that year. He deputised in all 3 positions extremely well, which is why he was put on in the side for that game, was his utility value and to cover several different positions. But because we didn't have any injuries or any issues with HIA or anything like that, he sat on the bench the whole time. So, but, I moved past that point where, he only played, 10 minutes or so for the Blues the other night. I think his time with the football side, particularly, in game 1 this year, where he spent a whole week's camp in the top 17, he spent a majority of the series last year in the squad. So he's been around that team now for a couple of series. So he's familiar with what they're about. He's familiar with the coaching. He's familiar with the entire setup and their preparation and whatnot. So I'd expect him to be named at number 7 for the Blues for game 2.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm of the mind that, what has changed in 7 days that he's not the next man up? Let's say Cleary was injured.
Yeah.
I think the Blues go into game 1 with Hynes at 7, Luai at 6. Maybe even Hines Walker, but let's just say, Luai at 6. And so I understand the argument of Reynolds. He's got an incredible kicking game. And as we've seen over the past few years, is like the kicking game is arguably a winner or loser. Like whoever's the better kicker wins the game. That's how tight it is. So I get that. But I just think that, what kind of message does it send that, 7 days ago you were our man? You had one missed tackle that, yes, it was crucial. Yes, you should have made it. Now you're no longer the guy to get the job done. On top of that, I understand, there's so much pressure on winning Origin. It's, 3 games of the year.
Yeah.
But I do think you need to prepare for the future. And if Cleary does have an injury in the future or Luai's form drops, you want Hynes to have as much experience as possible.
Yeah. Well, you'd like to think that he is the long-term 7 for the Blues. That's what, his form suggests, and all the talk around the way he's been playing over the last 18 months in particular. It's a really fascinating one, Kempy. It's a fascinating one because let's say they opt for anyone other than Nicho Hynes at 7. I don't think he gets selected for the team in game 2 because I strongly believe they'll bring in Damien Cook for game 2 and they'll play with Coruscant-Cook combination. Doesn't matter whoever starts and whoever comes off the bench. It could be either. But I think if Nicho doesn't get the number 7 jersey, I don't think he's in the team for game 2.
Yeah, look, mate, I agree. Unless, Cleary's not there. So, yeah, because what I was surprised at, I personally thought, when we spoke about this last week, I thought that they would give Appy 10 minutes rest and put Luai there. At number 9, and there would be a kind of set game plan to get Hynes in. Yeah,
well, that's the thing, Campy. I think a lot of people were predicting that, but when that happens, right? Let's say you want to give Appy a rest, and then by moving Luai from 6th to the number 9 position, and then bringing Nicho Hynes off the bench into the number 6, you're actually making 2 changes for 1, if you understand what I mean. You're taking one person off the field, but then you're making 2 changes in your team, which is why I said earlier about unless there was injury to either Luai or Cleary, they weren't going to change. Yeah. They weren't going to change. So the fact that, Brad Fittler didn't make a sub to get Nico Hines on the field earlier suggests to me that if he is not picked as a halfback for the New South Wales Blues in Game 2, I don't think he'll be there.
Yeah,
I just don't think he'll be there because I feel quite strongly that they will opt for the dual dummy half rotation in Game 2.
Mate, I was so surprised that Cookie didn't get selected even in Game 1.
Oh, yeah.
I really thought he
was
had such
playing
a great
unbelievable.
Year. Yeah. It'd be great for Cookie to get called back up because, he's played so well at Origin. I was just so surprised at how quickly he fell out of favours. I mean, look, that's probably the fair. He's still in favour in regards to Freddie, gave him a call, let him know, mate, you're next in line. So it's not like he's out of favour that far. But in regards to, I was just so surprised that, for so many years, he'd done such a good job. I mean, he was there 18, 19.
Yep.
He was 20, 21. So he'd basically won 3 out of 4 series, I think. Just really surprising that, he just gone.
Yeah.
Just gone from the squad.
I think he'll be there. A guy that's knocking on the door for that position, though, Reece Robson. So impressive.
Mate.
Huge game of the weekend for the Cowboys with that big win against the Storm. The one thing I want to ask you, Kempy, though, is with Cleary being out, is there any chance that Jerome Luai won't be in the team?
Well, me personally, I actually would go Cody Walker in regards to if Cleary's there, I pick Luai. If Cleary isn't there, I go Walker. I go Cook at 9.
Yep.
I even consider going Murray at 13. Now, look, sounds like you're making way too many changes, but I just think that because it's one game, a decider, you probably need, for a few years now, the idea around New South Wales has been we're going to pick a bunch of Penrith players, and that's going to be the skeleton of our side.
Yep.
Well, now that the key maestro of that is gone, do you not go, all right, let's pick some Rabbitohs players in the spine and just hope that they're going to be able to just gel immediately in Origin Game 2? Because if you let's say you keep Yo at 13, maybe Murray off the bench, Appy at 9, it's a very kind of makeshift halves pairing or spine that's really never played together.
Yeah, particularly for a do or die match, as you said.
Yeah, and also they don't get that. I think it's a longer camp, the first camp as well, isn't it?
No, well, exactly the same this time around.
Okay.
It's in previous years, this Game 2 has been played on the Sunday, so it's been a 7-day camp. Whereas this one, it's Wednesday again. We're back to all 3 games on Wednesdays.
Yeah, okay.
So it's a 10-day build up again.
Yeah, okay. So at least you got the same amount in regards to the camp, but look, as I said, Luai, it feels really unfair to say it because I thought he was one of New South Wales' best.
Yeah, so I agree, mate. Yep, totally.
He was under so much pressure and so many people, speaking overly negative about him. And so on form, I don't think he deserves to get dropped. But
no,
I do just think that it's a decider. You just need to get at least at the spine. I would get at least 2 of the 4 that have played together.
I'll tell you one interesting question, right? So, so Nathan Cleary's out of Game 2. That's confirmed. Outside chance to be there for Game 3. Whoever he comes in and replaces him for Game 2, right? Say New South Wales beat Queensland in Brisbane. Nathan's fit for Game 3. Tell me what happens,
mate. Honestly,
what happens?
Well,
that's an interesting question.
A massively interesting question because not only let's say New South Wales, they're the underdogs at the moment. They have this incredible folklore series win.
Yes.
All of a sudden, 5 years of planning with Cleary being the guy.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden goes, well, is he the guy next year? It's no longer a sure thing that he gets selected. Even though I do believe Cleary is a guy, but mate, I don't know. I honestly don't know. Don't know that. What would you do then, Smithy? I'll throw it back to you.
Oh, mate, no idea. And that's what makes Origin so interesting and everyone loves, the drama in the theatre. And I was just thinking to myself just then as we were having that conversation, let's say they pick Adam Reynolds, okay, just for argument's sake. And he plays an outstanding game. He gets the Blues home in Game 2, a game that, people are saying, they can't win or whatever. They're underdogs. He gets them home. Cleary comes back. He's fit for Game 3. What do they do?
Mate.
Oh,
I
hey,
just
imagine the
don't know.
storylines there.
I mean, and like also the problem is like, let's say Reynolds wins them that game. Then they go, yeah, but we're going to stay loyal to Cleary. He's been here for the last 5 years. And then they lose game
Oh,
3.
jeez. That's what I
my
mean. That's what I
God.
mean.
It is. It shows you how. It's a bit bizarre because I kind of feel like, I'm probably being a bit too biased here, but I feel like, for example, if DCE was injured and then someone came in and did a really, really good job,
Yep.
we would pick DCE next year, most likely. Obviously, you'd have to keep playing good at club and all of those things.
Yeah.
Look, you could argue did and came in and played really well, and he didn't get the role next week. Now, obviously, he's in Cam Munce's position. No one's you're not taking that spot, but
I was thinking that to myself just then too, because Dearden come in, played for Munster, of course, in Game 3, but it's a new series, Kempy.
yeah,
I'm talking mid-series. 1-1. You've had one half get the job done. Wow.
text in
Drama.
0457
Drama.
0457 736 736. Text it in and let us know if New South Wales go and win it. Do you stick with the 7 that got it done in Suncorp, or do you bring Cleary back in for Game 3? Holy moly!
If he's fit.
If he's fit, obviously. Now, Tom Trbojevic has been cleared for the Seagulls. Have the NRL set a dangerous precedent? Trbojevic has been cleared to play against the Dolphins on Friday night, despite being taken from the field in Origin 1. An independent doctor in the bunker ruled Trbojevic was presenting Category 1 symptoms on the night, but the Seagulls have confirmed Turbo has not been diagnosed with concussion. The Seagulls CEO, Tony Mestroff, said, throughout the process, Tom has not been diagnosed with concussion from either New South Wales Dr. Nathan Gibbs or our club Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Paul Bloomfield. This now comes as the Bulldogs are aiming for an exemption so Reid Marnie can play on Monday against the Eels.
Wow.
He will visit an independent neurologist on Friday after being taken from the field in their loss to the Roosters. Is this now setting a dangerous precedent for other clubs to follow, Smithers?
Well, absolutely. Well, why do we have independent doctors then?
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty much wiping, their say in all of these concussion protocols in live games.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what he was ruled at, or presenting Cat 1 symptoms on the night, which is why he was taken from the field. And I believe it played a part in Tom Flegler being sin-binned, for Queensland. It's just, I don't know. It's a dangerous one, this one, because we've taken so many steps forward into the player welfare and concussion and head knocks and all this sort of stuff. We see, we're seeing players every week removed from the field with HIA protocols and concussion symptoms. I don't know how you overrule the independent doctor that ruled on the night.
Well, look,
it's
as you said, mate, like there's independent doctors, far more qualified, including medicals Manly staff. But, mate, hasn't been diagnosed with the concussion. It looked like he was pretty rocked from that hit. And then if he wasn't hitting head forcefully, why was Flegler sent 10 in the bin?
Well, okay, so righto. Well, let's go a little bit further, and this is we're thinking outside this box here, Kempy. But so if Tom Trbojevic is cleared to play this week, and that means he didn't have concussion, can Queensland get 10 minutes credit for a player in Game 2? Can we get that, please, NRL?
Mate,
Well, actually, I think Queensland had 14 men on the field for 30 seconds. So can we get 9 minutes 30?
Yes, please, sir.
We'll minus that out of the 10.
Yes.
Can we play with 14? You know what I mean? Like, it's just like I'm being facetious there. I'm trying to be a little bit funny, but that if there's a ruling of concussion on the night, like why are we? I don't know why we're trying to play with this type of serious issue. Trying to then say, look, we'd like a player back. He's not showing any signs now. Like, hasn't there been studies telling us that sometimes symptoms take quite some time to present themselves? And I'm talking, longer than 7 days.
Mate, I just don't understand. And clearly, as I said, doctors way smarter than me, CEOs way smarter than me.
Yep.
But I just don't understand this idea that he was never diagnosed with a concussion. That doesn't make sense to me. You know what? I'm going to go and watch the interview because I'm sure they explain it. But just look at it on face value. Like, why was he taken from the field then if he didn't have a concussion?
Yeah.
As in, like, because he didn't return, did he? He didn't return?
No, he didn't come on back. No, Hines. That's why Hines took his place and stayed on the field, mate.
And then Tommy didn't come on for the last minute?
No.
So, anyway. I think it sets a dangerous precedent. I think that if we got 11-day rule, we should stick with it.
Yeah, and there's a reason why that was put in place. I don't think there was just chucked in there just to look good or, you know, to present a certain sort of picture for the public. Like, I'm sure that process was thought out quite deliberately and at length, you know, to protect the players. And, you know, to answer that question, does it set a dangerous precedent? Of course it does.
Yeah.
Like news spread around about, you know, Manly trying to get Tommy to play, and all of a sudden, you know, the Bulldogs are doing that with Reid Marnie. Every other club will try and do that now. Every other club, I'll guarantee you.
Absolutely. Now, we're going to head to a break. After the break, we've got everyone's favourite moment. Holy Schnitz moments, thanks to Schnitz. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. Smithy, what's your holy Schnitz moment, mate?
Well, my holy Schnitz moment this week, Kempy, is, it goes away from rugby league. It's talking about the world of golf. And I don't know if you've seen the huge announcement earlier today, but the PGA Tour and Live Golf, they've come to an agreement, Kempy. And when I seen it on the news headlines this morning, I said, holy Schnitz. This has been going on for a couple of years. This whole breakaway sort of side golf tournament or league that's happening, Live Golf, you know, they shelled out some huge money for some big name players, and some moved across, some stayed. Guys like Tiger Woods, Rory McIlroy, they stayed and voiced very strongly the reasons for staying and supported the PGA. And now the PGA has turned around and they've joined forces. It's unbelievable.
What about
that's huge in the world of golf?
I was going to say, like, it changes the fabric of golf forever.
Yeah. And there's been some huge positives out of, I guess, Live Golf from a point of view of, you know, the interest that it brings, particularly to younger people. You know, you've seen the tournament that was hosted in Australia down in Adelaide at the Grange Golf Course. Thousands of people there, thousands and thousands, like bigger numbers than we've seen in a long time at Australian golf tournaments. And many of those people were younger golf fans, boys and girls, a lot of female spectators as well. So it was changing the viewing and the participation of golf. But this is incredible. And there's been some mixed sort of, I guess, opinions and thoughts on the merger or the re-merger of the two leagues from players and from officials, you know, particularly the guys that supported the move by the PGA to ban those players. But it was a holy Schnitz moment, that one, mate.
Oh, mate. I mean, I don't even follow golf, but the news that this has created, pre this, all of the back and forth and everything like that, I'll be honest, like, as I said, know nothing about golf, don't follow golf, but seeing the scenes of, like, the party kind of vibe, and look, I'm actually, I love tradition. Like, I actually do really like tradition, so I don't think you should throw the baby out with the bathwater, but I will say, seeing the scenes of that Live tournament, it did pique my interest. It was like, that's kind of cool. Like, that's interesting.
Yep. Yeah, well, I think which was the whole point of Live, was just trying to change it up a little bit. Obviously, you know, the money thing and all that sort of stuff, I think, you know, some people have, you know, different opinions on, but it was a pretty interesting style of sport that they played, the style of golf, and attracted, you know, new people, new faces, and it's only a positive, I believe.
Now, my holy Schnitz moment of the week was when I read the news that Ange Postecoglou, geez, that's a tough name to say, but Ange, the great Ange Postecoglou, coach of Celtic, former coach of Australia, has signed a 4-year deal to become manager of Tottenham. Now, it is my understanding that he is the first Australian to become a coach of a Premier League side.
Really?
Absolutely incredible what Ange has achieved. He is so beloved by the Celtic fans. They were devastated to see him go. What an incredible moment for Australian soccer that we have one of our coaches coaching. I'm not sure if they're still top 4, but for a few years they have been a top tier-ish side. Maybe just a rung below your Man Cities and Man Uniteds, but they've been up there near the top. It is an incredible moment for Australian soccer.
Oh, it's huge, mate. Huge. It was like the men's Australian side getting into the World Cup many, many years ago, 06, I think it was. Remember they played in Germany? Remember how big that was? When they won that qualifier in Sydney and we booked our ticket to the World Cup.
Yep.
Huge news for Australian soccer / football, whichever way you want to call it. Leading into, of course, the Women's World Cup this year. You know, just good way to to boost morale around the soccer. Get everyone interested again in the build up to the Women's Soccer World Cup hosted in Australia, of course. To see how girls go around. I hope they win it.
Mate,
can they win it?
Wait.
Can they win it?
They can win it. We've got Sam Kerr.
Sam Kerr.
Best player in the world. Are you kidding me?
By a mile.
Come on, let's go, baby. After the break, we got some very spicy text messages to get to. Got some New South Wales and Tommy Trbojevic fans all rolled up. We'll get to that after the break. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. We are here for Chemist Warehouse. Head into Chemist Warehouse for great savings. Now, let's get into these texts. We're getting ripped and teared. I love it. Okay. You clowns. The origin sin bin was because Turbo was hit in the head, not because said hit caused a concussion. We'll give you 10 mins so you can familiarise yourself with the rules, but please give us back 5 mins of our lives for listening to your flawed logic, bias, dribble. Cheers, Mike. Hey, Mike, I've got a tip for you, bros. Go watch that video and tell me if Tom Trbojevic gets straight back to his feet and plays the ball, would have Flegler been sin-binned? Just ask that. Just ask yourself
that question.
Yeah, and then also ask yourself, does that look like a not concussed bloke? Tom Trbojevic, he literally can't get to his feet after the tackle. Then you can Then you can get back to us. You can send us a text if you still feel that we are just crazy and he wasn't. There's no signs at all that he might have been concussed. Then fair enough.
We're definitely not making this up. It happened.
It happened.
There's vision.
There's a video of it.
Yeah. I've got another one here. Kempy. Afternoon goat and beak. If Reynolds is selected and wins us game 2, then in my opinion, you can say goodbye to both Cleary and Luai.
Wow.
As a New South Wales supporter, I'm sick and tired of hearing about Penrith's so-called combination. It doesn't work at origin level. Bring on Reynolds and co to take it to a decider. That's Dino from the Gong.
Dino, I got it because this is something that a lot of fans feel this way. I've got a mad stat for you, Dino. So, heading into this year, Nathan Cleary has a better series winning percentage than Cameron Munster.
Wow.
That is correct. He has won 3 from 5 series.
Wow.
Cam Munster has won 2 from 6. Now, some will say Nathan Cleary wasn't a part of the 2019 Game 3, Mitchell Pearce was. He was obviously part of the first 2 games. Then you could argue Cameron Munster was not a part of the Game 3 2022 series. So that would take him to 2 from 6, and that would take Cleary from 2 from 5.
Wow.
I think you can even look back to Alfie Langer. He lost 4 origins on the trot. Peter Sterling, 1 series win. Nathan Cleary is only 2 series wins away from equaling Andrew Johns for series wins. He has another 10 years left of his career.
Yeah,
now,
incredible.
I'll be the first to admit, has Cleary had his Origin Series moment, like Joey, like Munster, like Smithy, like Thurston, like Cronk? No, he has not, for sure. I first admit that. But to suggest that he's not up to Origin level, I think that is factually incorrect. What are your thoughts, Smithers?
Yeah, no, I think that, it's easy to criticise, isn't it? We touched on this at the start of the show. It's easy to criticise after a loss. If they were to hold on in game 1, they would have been praised for their efforts. So we just got to be careful to look to make mass changes. And I'm talking about, I'm just talking as a rugby league person here, like about the New South Wales side, which is why I'm talking about Nico Hines just moving straight into that 7 jersey, not messing with the rest of the side, make a couple of simple changes, move on. But, I think after a loss, sometimes we can just get a little bit carried away with, trying to change the whole team, and that's not good enough. And because they were, the New South Wales side, they were a bees. It was a bees away from winning that first game, Kempy.
Mate, I've said it all week. All of the only stat that matters is on the scoreboard, for sure. Yeah. Agreed. But all the ingredients to win the game, New South Wales had that. They were just missing the last little piece. It wasn't like New Queensland came out and just dominated field position, dominated ball control. if anything, you could make the argument that New South Wales played a better game of rugby league for 70 minutes. Well, I mean, they were ahead 70 minutes with 10 to go. It's just that last 10 minutes, the killing blow, where they just played 10 minutes of really poor footy, and it cost them, dearly.
Yes.
So, mate, yeah, I agree. Got some more texts here. Hey, boys, Payne Haas dominates at club level, but I think at Origin level, he doesn't rise to the occasion. Am I being too harsh, Willow? Look, I just think that you have to be patient with these guys. If Payne Haas, at the age that he's at, is getting in and just doing his job, that's enough for me for now. The big occasions will come. What do you reckon, Smithers?
Yeah, look, and you got to understand too, like, it's state of origin. He's not going to get an easy run at it like he does. I'm not saying what he does is easy, but what I'm saying is it's much more difficult to carry the football and have huge numbers in state of origin compared to what it is week to week at NRL level. You got to remember, like, when you're playing state of origin, you're playing against 34 of some of the best players in the world. So they're not going to give you, particularly when you are a huge threat to them, they're not going to give you too many opportunities to try and do your thing. They want to minimise the impact you have on the game. So, particularly in the case of Payne Haas, a lot of the good things that happen, like, look at the way he plays at Clubland, right? So when the Queensland players look at that, and he has, several teammates in the Queensland side, they know his strengths. Yeah. They know the style of play that he likes to play. So they come up with plans to try and nullify that. Now, you can't take him out of the game entirely, but, again, it's hard to expect, guys, the performances that they put in every week at club level, it's much more difficult to have, the same type of performances in Origin, because it's another step up, right? Now, he's certainly got the capabilities to do that, but you have so many things have to fall, your way to come up with those huge performances like you do every week, because you're playing against the best players. As I mentioned, you're playing against the best players. They're not going to give you as much room when you're carrying the football. They're going to lock the ball up. They're not going to allow you to offload. Are you going to make as many meters? No, because they know how to attack you and bring you to the ground. It's just a harder place to perform. That's all.
Oh, he's back. Turbo definitely looked concussed. You geese.
We've got a return texter.
But now you were speculating about what might have happened if he did, if he didn't. Blah, blah, blah. Fact is, contact to the head is a sin bin. Fact is, that is not true. Contact to the head is not a sin bin automatically.
No.
There is contact to the head in nearly every single tackle. Yes. Anyway, I love it, though. I love it. He's gone and had a look.
A bit of banter. I like it.
A bit of banter. But... look, I think that I stand by what I said earlier. I think that it did look like he was concussed, and if he didn't stay down, I think that he gets up, plays the ball. At the very worst, it's a penalty. I don't think Flegler goes 10 in the bin. Yeah. But as we said, love the banter. That's what makes rugby league so great.
Yes.
So great.
Yes.
We now I've got this question for you, Smithers.
Okay.
Hey boys, happy hump day. Cam, how much did Origin affect you and the Storm going back to back during the days of 2012, 2017? Coop, Slater, and yourself were right on top of your game, respectively, plus the Bromwich boys and Widdop. And just wonder if it was Origin that cost you guys going back to back the only thing the Storm couldn't do, or was it just burnout being defending champs? Would love to hear your thoughts on this, Dan.
Oh, I think there's no doubt that Origin has an impact on your season. There's no doubt about that, particularly this time of year where once you come out of the Origin series, you finish game 3, it probably takes you a couple of weeks to feel tip-top again, like physically and mentally, because it's draining. It drains you, your body, it drains your mind. It takes so much energy to get up and play those games and to try and be at your best. So it does take you, 2 or 3 weeks to be, just feeling good about yourself and feeling at your best to go back and play club football. But I don't think it played a part in the Storm not being able to win back-to-back premierships. I think we certainly had our opportunities to do that, but we just weren't good enough when those opportunities arose. And the team that was able to beat us or knock us out of the comp leading into those back-to-back attempts, they were better. They were just better. That's a simple fact at that time of the year.
Now, we're going to head to a break. After the break, we share our rising stars in the NRL, thanks to the Bailey Ladders. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. Time to see which young players are climbing up the Bailey Ladder. Workside trusted For 60 years. 60 years, Smithers.
60 years. The Bailey's ladder that's right beside me. We found it. It's still here.
It's still here.
The
Hasn't been
ladder
taken
thief.
again.
No, the ladder thief. He hasn't been into the studios of late. But nominations this week for our rising stars. First nomination, Jacob Preston, having a great season, of course. Played against the Roosters on the weekend. Still only 21, ran for 90 metres, had a line break and made 40 tackles. So great all-round performance there by Jacob Preston. Second nomination for the Warriors, as I said earlier, mate, flying the Warriors at the moment. Going to be a great match this weekend. We'll preview that in a moment. Luke Metcalf, in just his second game for the Warriors, the 24-year-old, he had one try, ran for 80 metres and was just absolutely outstanding for the New Zealand Warriors, of course. And my last man, I'm talking possibly performance of the round.
Wow.
Semi Valame, in-season transfer up to the Cowboys. Now, after his first couple of rounds, I'm thinking Semi Valame, mate, he needs a new name, Semi-Trailer. The way he's running the ball, he's just steamrolling the Melbourne Storm defenders. So in his Cowboys debut, 24-year-old, he had 3 tries, 3 line breaks, ran for 160 metres, and had 6 tackle breaks. Mate,
wow,
what an afternoon out. If he wasn't getting free drinks at the Mad Cow in Townsville, Sunday Arvo, mate,
please,
I'm not here.
Seriously, it'd be a crime. People should be arrested. They should be arrested if he wasn't getting free drinks.
Surely.
We got a text here, Smithy.
Yes.
Smithy, what are your thoughts on Jacob Preston from the Bulldogs for buy of the season and rookie of the year?
Well, mate, as I said, been fantastic. He's just such a good player and produces those similar performances that he did on the weekend pretty much every week. He's so consistent for a young man. He's only 21, just starting out in his career. But he gives wholehearted effort performances every week. Produces good numbers. It's unbelievable. It's a good find for the Bulldogs.
I'm pretty sure he wasn't even in a first grade squad last year. He was at the North Sydney Bears.
Yeah.
And, basically just going about his business. Then the Dogs identify him. And at the start of the year, you're sitting there going, if he gets a few games, that'd be great. Yep. All of a sudden, he's a lock on that edge for them. An absolute lock.
Yeah. Mate, he's one of the first, sort of handful picked every week, I reckon. First up, just straight in.
He's got to be, what do you reckon, favourite for Rookie of the Year so far? Who else we got the Rookie of the Year?
Yeah, no, he would be.
Him,
just
Katoa.
trying to think. Yeah, Katoa. Yeah, mate, he might win it. He might win it easily.
Because, he's just playing such good footy. And he's just impacting games at such a young age. Usually at that age, you just want to get out there, do your job, make your tackles. But he's a genuine weapon for them on the edge there. And also, it's not like he's rolling into a Penrith squad or a Storm squad. Yeah. He's rolling into a team that's building.
Well, yeah, that's right. And, week to week, they're getting out and battling, aren't they? They're having a crack each weekend. It's not like they can go out and just beat teams off the back of their brilliance like some of the sides up the top do. They're not at their best sometimes, but they're just a little bit better than the opposition, and the class gets them home. But these guys, they're out there having a crack, and the way they're playing, it's a reflection of the way Preston plays every week.
Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. Let's get some text here. First text up, what about Jerome Buller, you dopes?
Oh, yes. We've got Buller.
We did forget Buller. I apologise. I didn't know.
Mate, he's a huge chance.
He is a massive chance. I just can't believe how much he's improving week on, week out.
Yep.
In a side where they're playing way better footy. But it's similar to the Preston situation where you're not walking into a Penrith system where you can just blow things out of the park because you've got all these great players around you. Yep. You're walking into a battling side and doing what he's doing.
Yeah. And it's further proof that all you need is an opportunity, just a small opportunity to get out there and show people what you're capable of.
Got some more text here. Hey, Kempy, do you have a poster of Smithy on your wall at home? You don't have to agree with everything he says. I'm sure he will still like you. Fitzy. Yeah, mate. I've got a mad signed poster of the great Cam Smith on my wall.
I tell you, if you had a poster of me, it'd be the one when with that break we had in 2020. I come back with that big beard,
Yes, absolutely. That is actually the poster that I have.
that would be the poster.
Custom made. Cheers for the tip, Smithy. I'll definitely take that on board. I think Ricky Stewart was talking about you two when he said, Muppets, pull up the Queensland junk. Western Sydney Eagle. Oh, it's
Muppets,
Origin time, baby.
You Muppets.
It's Origin
We're
time.
carrying on like Muppets, aren't we?
Yeah, Muppets,
Western Sydney
Gooses,
Eagle.
Dopes.
Anyway.